It looks like this province in the country could be squeezed by two of its largest export markets for seafood. The U.S. is number one. China is second. Of course, those Chinese tariffs now in effect, and the U.S. tariffs could come into effect on April 2nd. So this puts a lot of uncertainty into the industry, and it's happening at a time when crab fishermen, the harvesters, are getting ready and negotiating with the processors about what the price is going to be for this season's catch. So how much are those fishermen going to get per pound of crab? And you can see here behind me that there are some crab pots here on this ship, so there are signs that people are getting ready to go fishing. It's the first fishery to open, and then other ones start to open up later in the spring. And crab is, of course, the most lucrative fishery here in Newfoundland and Labrador, taking the lion's share of what's landed here when it comes to value. But also a lot of the crab from this province, the most of it does go to the U.S. So really those Chinese tariffs are going to hit other products, so things like shrimp, sea cucumber, and halibut. There's one company, Baffin Fisheries. They have an $80 million brand new trawler, and a lot of their product goes to China, 60 to 70%. Their CEO, Chris Flanagan, says that these tariffs mean when Canadian companies go to other markets now, there's going to be a lot of competition between Canadian companies trying to sell their seafood.
Well, it's a huge hit because not only is there the 25% tariff right at the doorstep in China, but what that means is all the Canadian companies, and I suppose some American ones too, that normally sell to China are going to look for other markets. We're going to look to Europe primarily and other shrimp markets. So with everybody moving their product or trying to move their product out of China to other markets, well, that'll put pressure on the prices there. So we will see decreases in prices in Europe.
Flanagan is hoping to lobby the Canadian government and ask them to reconsider their tariff on Chinese EVs.
Those who do the harvesting, what are you hearing from people who are going to head out to Heather on beautiful boats like the one beside you there? What are they saying about these tariffs?
Well, we couldn't talk to the union that represents these seafood harvesters yesterday. They were on the way back from the Boston Seafood Show, where so many were looking for new markets. They also don't want to talk right now because they're in the middle of those crab price negotiations, and that's obviously very sensitive. And we've had large protests in the past over price, so they don't want to say too much right now. But in the past, the Fisheries Union president, Dwan Street, has said this is just making things very uncertain.
We don't know what the discussions are right now between Canada and China to maybe mediate, get these tariffs lifted. You know, we haven't gotten a lot of information there either. So the American ones are, you know, we've seen them kick down the road twice already. And, you know, we've been in discussion. It's pretty much 50-50 if they're going to happen. So right now we're in price negotiations, and that does seem to be the big elephant in the room, right? Like, how do you build uncertainty into trying to reach a price agreement?
Last year, Stats Canada says Canada exported $1.1 billion worth of seafood to China, and that represents about 20% of Canada's seafood export. So there's a big chunk of the market at stake here.